winning ugly was a phrase that I would hear a lot in the sports world. I don't know that I hear it nearly as much in the business world, but it's kind of been a hallmark throughout my professional life. I remember when I became a college baseball coach, I kind of started out trying to do all the traditional things. Hey, we're going to win with pitching and defense, and we're going to play small ball, and we're going to build a program that way. Aesthetically, hey, this is how it's supposed to look. We're going to have these pitchers who dominate games, and we're going to look great on the field. And the reality is, we had a pretty low ceiling that way. The resources we had available to us, whether it was budget or scholarships or the geographic location we were playing in, it just didn't lend itself to being great through that lens. And I think I came to some realization maybe after my second full season that we needed to take a different approach. And I thought of it myself, and I probably didn't really articulate this to other people because I don't know that it was going to be appealing to them. But it was really appealing to me that, like, hey, we can win ugly. We can do this our own way. And maybe it looks non-traditional. Maybe it's not aesthetically pleasing, but we can go out there and outslug people, and we can win games 12-8. And maybe it doesn't look as pristine or pretty, but it works. And I think, frankly, in my business life ever since, I've kind of hung tight to that philosophy, like focusing on what works and not necessarily this winning pretty approach. And I think that has been a really powerful thing for me. But I see so many business owners getting hung up going the opposite direction. They call themselves perfectionists, which often means just they're a procrastinator, right? They're putting things off because it never meets the imagined standard they have in their mind. And let's face it, what we imagine is fiction, right? Like what we actually do is reality. And if you want to be successful, it's not what we aspire to, it's not what we say, it's actually what we do. And so I think this winning ugly approach, it gives me, and hopefully maybe it can give you permission to just go out there and do work and be okay with the fact that it's imperfect. Imperfect is reality. We're dealing with human beings. We're dealing with ever changing and never optimal circumstances. So this idea of perfectionism, it's an anchor that we can never really get rid of. We have to let go of perfectionism and understand that, hey, I'm going to put something out in the market. The market will give me feedback, and that will allow me to make it better with the real circumstances that exist, not the imagined ones, not the ones that sound great on a business plan or work for an avatar that doesn't actually exist. If you've ever thought about this concept in the marketing world, the avatars, they're always these kind of fictional characters that we create. But people say, well, they live in this area, they're this age, they have this many kids, they have this kind of job, this kind of household income, this is what their interests are. But invariably, they have one problem, and that happens to conveniently be the problem we solve. And that's not reality, right? The reality is the people that we serve have full lives, in many cases, messy lives. And we need to somehow be able to help them and serve them and still kind of dovetail in with the reality that they have, the circumstances that they face on a daily basis. So I think this idea of winning ugly is really powerful. It kind of gives you permission to stop chasing perfect and focus on being better, continually better, 1% better each and every day. The other thing that it does is it allows us to play to our strengths instead of having some kind of imagined box that we have to fit into. It says, okay, well, how can we make a difference? How can we be successful and build around those things? Because there's not just one way to approach things. And again, that's a lesson that sports taught me. I saw people that were successful that in baseball specifically that came in all shapes and sizes. Some were fast, some were slow, some were strong, some weren't, some were tall, some were short. And they people in each of those buckets figured it out and achieved their own levels of success. Teams that approach the game with completely different ways of developing players, completely different strategies on the field. Still, some of them found their own ways to success. And I think that if you give yourself permission to play to your strengths instead of trying to be some sort of imitation of somebody else, again, that sets you up to be more successful. And then finally, it allows you to focus on moving the needle, allows you to focus on going forward because you don't get stuck on what you're not. You don't get stuck on the things that you imagine this kind of utopian approach to business or to success that you want to pursue. Instead, you just say, okay, you know what? This is what we need to do to get better today. So if you combine those kind of, I guess, mental frameworks into this idea of winning ugly, you are going to be more successful. You're going to be more impactful. You're going to be happier because you're not pursuing some unattainable standard. You're simply just going out there and getting better each day. You're doing the work that you're excited about doing. You're getting the outcomes that you want to get because you're actually in the game. So that's my lesson or maybe plea to you: pursue winning ugly.